It's time for the 2023 Denver housing market predictions. Hey everyone, it's Alyson with Live South Denver, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. For those that have been watching a while, maybe, just maybe, you remember my predictions from the start of 2022, where I said that I thought home prices would only rise 10% over the course of the year. And that was because I didn't think buyers were gonna bite on those intensely rising home prices again for another year after what they went through in 2021. Well, I was wrong on both accounts. Prices did not rise 10% throughout the course of the year, and it wasn't just because buyers weren't willing to bite. The feds had to step in. When we look at all of the data and take where we were from January to where we are now, our gains are about 3.4%. The average sold price rose 3.4% for single family homes and 3.3% for the attached homes when we compare January to year end. We're entering 2023 with a single family home price baseline of $702 and a condo townhome baseline price of $464. With those new baselines set, what does the real estate game look like in 2023? And how do we think the players on the field are gonna stack up? First up, the economy, specifically Colorado's economy. CU Boulder Leeds School of Business published their Colorado Economic Forecast Report, and they encouragingly see growth ahead for Colorado's economy in 2023. Albeit it is small, they're projecting about a 1% growth in our economy for this coming year. And they say that we're gonna grow about 2% in the number of jobs, roughly 57,000 new jobs in 2023. Those 57,000 jobs will mostly be in 9 out of 11 business sectors that they analyze. The two business sectors that aren't gonna be doing so well, construction and the financial sectors. For those of you that watch these videos or just keep track of things in general, you're probably not surprised. The Leeds report and analysis says the state of Colorado is going to stay economically competitive this year with above average growth in GDP, employment, and income. So if we're taking score, the Colorado economy gets one in the plus column. Up next, mortgage rates. They have been the talk for the last 9 months, and I expect they're going to absolutely stay in the headlines for the majority of 2023. Predictions from bankrate.com and the Mortgage Bankers Association have rates as low as 5.25 by the end of 2023. That is music to my ears. How about you? Adam Real Estate Data isn't projecting as far out as year end, but agrees with those two because they have rates dropping below 6% by Q2. HSH.com, a large online lender, is holding a more conservative position. They have rates with a wide range of 5.875 to 6.875 throughout the year. So they're giving some room for some swing. And then Freddie Mac has rates at an average of 6.4 for the year. And Fannie Mae is projecting rates at 6.4 at Q1 and down to 6 by year end. So if we take all these prognostications, we've got a range of 5.25 to 6.875, a fairly wide window. However, it is still a much smaller swing if we're moving even within that range throughout this year than we did last year. So I suspect this is going to be very well tolerated in the market this year. So each downward blip and movement of the rate is really going to bring an increase in buyer demand. We have seen that every time the rates have moved downward since June of 2022. Every time the rates make a downward move, the buyers come back in the market for a few weeks, and every time they move back up, there's a quick evaporation of mortgage applications, buyer demand, interest in the market. And I think that's going to be one of the stories of this coming year if the rates don't follow a solid downward trajectory. If we do have a bouncing around, then that's going to be one of the frustrating things for both buyers and sellers. On the score chart, I'm giving mortgage rates a neutral score. I think we are going to lack the volatility that we had last year. Certainly we are not going up. I think in general, we're going to be headed down. We may see a little bit of bouncing, but overall, the consensus is that we're heading in a downward direction with rates through year end. That is a plus. The downside is buyers are really having their eyes set to a rate close to a flat 5, ideally below 5.25 is the upper edge of where they want to be to get very excited about buying again. So until we get around that point, I don't think we're going to see a lot of energy and excitement in the market. So it tells me that the market's just going to be a little softer this year, and rates are a key to that, which is why they don't get a big plus in my book. Next up is inventory. So Denver ran at less than 30 days of available inventory for 23 months straight, all the way through May of 2022. We did not break that until June of last year. That was the first time we had seen more than a month of inventory in nearly 2 years. We dabbled in more than 2 months of inventory for a few weeks since then, but we have really settled into roughly 1.5 months of inventory, and we are hanging out there. Typically, when inventory runs that low, we do not call it a buyer's market. It really still isn't. However, the lack of demand is giving buyers still a little bit of a leg up in this market. Inventory is going to continue to stay low, in fact, very low. And the churn of sales is expected to be quite low for this coming year too, most likely at possibly below where we ended for this year. Redfin's deputy chief economist projects that home sales across the country is going to be at its lowest point for 40 years. His estimate is that just 32 out of every 1,000 homes are going to come to market. He does, and we can all attribute that to the higher interest rates we have now, the lock-in effect where sellers have those great low interest rates they don't want to leave behind, inflation, less buyer demand from so many other factors going on around us, job insecurity, the higher rates, not enough inventory they love. And then there's the lingering questions around recession. Are we in one? Are we coming out of one? And is it a rolling recession? Is one still coming that's going to be worse than what we're already seeing? According to the local MLS I am a part of across the 7-county Denver metro area, we have about 1,287,000 potential homes to be sold. That's how many properties roughly are in the Denver metro area. If we take Redfin's math and apply it to that number, we would only see 42,000 homes come to market for sale in 2023. That would be roughly a 10% drop from where we were last year. From the counties that I count and take my data from, we sold about 47,000 homes. Obviously, we were on a sharp upward trajectory through April, and then it severely dropped off as we headed into the rest of the year when rates went up. But to come down even from that would be really quite a shock to the system. Last year is the first year we have sold less than 50,000 homes since 2012, when we sold 43,000 homes. And for some perspective, in 2021, we sold just shy of 60,000 homes across Denver. And in 2020, we sold just shy of 59,000 homes in the Denver metro area. And those were the first 2 years we sold more than 55,000 homes ever in the Denver market. Knowing all the factors that we have going into this low inventory environment, and then we add on to the fact that builders aren't going to be helping inventory at all. They have already been pulling back, already factoring in what's been going on, and they are lowering the number of permits they are pulling to build. As of November, single-family home permits in the Denver area have dropped 64% from their cycle peak, which is in March of 2022. And the last time we saw numbers that low was in 2014. And remember, when we were coming out of the Great Recession, the 2008 to 2011-12 window, the builders had overbuilt. They had so much inventory stockpiled, and they're like, we will never do that again. So they just pulled back and pulled back and pulled back and pulled back. So they were getting to their low point in that time frame, and then they needed to ramp up because they had overcorrected. There was just so much going on with the builders then. So to know that we are getting really low on builder permits is really not a good sign. However, I'm going to tell another story about how they feel like they still have too much inventory. They just cannot sell it because prices have gotten so high, and they keep saying their supply chain costs are so high, and there's a lot of competition. Folks can go buy an existing home for less. So it's just an interesting dynamic for them right now. So while inventory is going to be probably a hot topic in 2023, mortgages still hold the key to that. I think that makes sense, right? If rates stay above 6 for the majority of the year, it is possible that we're going to see 5, maybe 10% fewer sales. I really don't think we're going to get to 10% fewer sales than we had this year. That seems to me to be a stretch, because 10% fewer would take us down to that 42,000 number that we were talking about. If rates get moving and start dropping off, maybe even by Q2, certainly before the end of the peak buying season, then I think we'll probably end up on pace with this year, possibly a little higher, maybe a little lower, but similar, 47,000-ish homes. There is just a lot of pent-up buyer demand. You guys, I have so many phone calls from people who have been waiting since last year, who've been watching, they're watching the builders, they're trying to time things out, they're in rentals, they've been in a rental for a year. I have so many people that are ready to get out of the rentals in May. Like May is gonna be huge at this point. Some of them are willing to buy a little bit sooner, but that window of time, I am telling you, there is so much pent-up demand. Overall, I give inventory a check mark in the negative column for this coming year. Now, we have not had a normal year in real estate in 3 years. And honestly, I do not think that 2023 is going to revert and start the trend over toward normal years in real estate yet. But for those of us who are in the business world, we know that normal does not usually beget opportunity, does it? So I am excited that this is not going to be a normal year because I want opportunity for you as a buyer and you as a seller. And I will tell you there's going to be plenty of opportunity on the table. Buyers, we continually are talking about the opportunities for you in this market, aren't we? Home price growth projections nationally have been swinging between a +5 and a -5, aside from a few outliers that are saying they're going to drop around 20% nationally, but that really is not what most people and most projections are saying. So we're swinging in that plus to -5%. Here in Denver, most people are saying our market will be roughly neutral, +1%, -1%. Down in Colorado Springs, maybe even +2%. Mortgage rates are expected to level out and eventually inch downward. And your mortgage options are several. You can go the buy down route still in this market because it is not a seller's market. Your buy down could be paid by you. Your buy down could be paid by the seller. It depends which buy down route you go. Or since refi is on the horizon, because we know rates are trending down, you may choose to skip the buy down, pay the rate as it is. Yes, you're going to have a higher monthly payment, but if you can qualify with that, you're just paying until the rates get to where you're ready to refi. Then you just pay the several $1,000s to do that, and then on you go into that lower payment. So you have several options by which to navigate the mortgage, your payment, and how you want to strategize through this. The news on mortgages doesn't end there. The conventional loan limits increased for 2023, which we expect every year. We're never quite sure how much, but they went up quite a bit this year. They vary by zip code, but here are some general guidelines. The Metro Denver loan limit is $787,750. The El Paso County limit, this is Colorado Springs. Big difference here. It's $517,500, and the Boulder County limit is $856,750. If you're eligible for a VA loan, remember there are no loan limits on the VA loan any longer. Let's put these conventional numbers in perspective. So using the Denver loan limits of $787,000, if you're putting 5% down, that means you're able to buy a home that's roughly $825,000. Buyers, an $825,000 home or more on a conventional mortgage in a roughly flat market where home prices are not increasing rapidly, with a mortgage where rates are holding roughly steady and on a downward trajectory based on everyone's prognostications. Don't we love those? All of that put together sounds like a lot of opportunity for me. You're paying someone's mortgage, a landlord or yours. If you have the money in the bank for the down payment, pay yours. And as I hinted to a few minutes ago, the opportunities are going to keep rolling in because builders have just not been able to catch up to balancing out their inventory with where the market is. National data released from Zonda shows that builders were having a 20% cancellation rate at Q3, roughly October, but that rate was much higher here in the West and Southwest. That was the national data, but we are really getting the brunt of it in Washington, California, Colorado, Idaho. Higher cost of living, home prices that went up very quickly, and then rates pushed the edges of what buyers were eligible for. So people backed out. And because you take 12 months, 10 months, 13 months, 9 months to build a home, and the rates were continuing to go up, people just walked away from the builders. So the cancellation rates really went through the roof out in this part of the country. Not every segment was hit the same. It was the first-time home buyer segment and the move-up buyer segment that really got hit the hardest. The luxury segment, the 1 million and plus segment out here, at least in the Denver market, that would be that segment, not hit with cancellations so much. Those buyers are factoring it in. They're usually well qualified. Sometimes they're paying full cash or 50% down. So their impact was not as great in that luxury segment. Back in June, when the market was just starting its turn, fewer than 30 builders were complaining about cancellations or that it was hard to resell their cancellations. It really wasn't an issue. By the time we got to year end, November, December, more than half of the builders are saying Selling my cancellations is a problem, and it's harder here in the West. It's just a challenge. And so we're seeing large price cuts. They're getting to at least 7%, usually 10%, before it's really drawing the attention of buyers. And the incentives had increased at year end. As we head into 2023, it's a little iffy. Some of them are increasing because the rates haven't softened, and some of them have decreased because they have been able to manage some of their inventory. It's a little touch and go because they're in a new fiscal year as to where incentives are going to go. Ultimately, all of your opportunity, though, is buying a spec home, not building from dirt. If the builder sees you wanting to buy a dirt start home, they know that you want to pick all your finishes, you're willing to wait, you aren't concerned about the market and rates, so they don't have much that they're interested in giving you. They'll give you a little. They're not going to give you nothing because they're giving so much over here. They know you're going to ask for it. But all of your power and opportunity is in buying a spec home. The builder wants that home off its books. Okay, sellers, we're not leaving you out of the story. First, I'm holding a little bit more optimistic line about home price growth in 2023. I think we're going to be probably more in the 2%-ish range for home price growth. Maybe I'll be wrong, I was this year. So we'll just roll the dice and see what happens. I think we're gonna do a little better than 1% though. And in 2019, home prices only grew about 3% in the market, and no one complained that that was a bad year in real estate. We just have to get the last couple years of feeding frenzy mindset out of our minds and get back to what was normal. Hopefully this year will be a good and clean reset for us, even though I don't think it's going to be a normal year. And sellers, you are the inventory managers of the market. So many first-time home buyers want to get in the market, and they can't because there's not enough inventory released to bring home prices down any further. In fact, there was never enough inventory released to bring home prices down. Inventory just started to sit there and linger when mortgage rates went up. And we pulled some of that back off when sellers decided not to sell. So we took out withdrawn homes, we took out expired homes, and our inventory came back down from being above 2 months to this 1.5 month area, number that we're sitting in. And we're just, I think, gonna stay here. I don't know that it's gonna change a lot throughout the next couple of months. Single family home prices are still up 35% from when we started 2020. Attached homes, those condos and townhomes, are up 25% from where we started 2020. If you have owned your home for even a few years, that is outstanding news for you. And since median home ownership is now 13 plus years, most sellers are going to have an abundance of equity in their home. Talk about opportunity. If the projections bear out and home price growth stays modest, it gives you some breathing room that many sellers have really been longing for after these last couple years. There'll be less guesswork on when to sell, less concern about selling in a hot market but turning around and having to buy in the same hot market, concern about whether you'll be homeless or whether you're going to be in a bidding war. That was a real concern for so many folks. Your brain just has to get wrapped around what you're going to do about financing. Are you going to pay cash? Are you going to do a buy down? Are you going to do a traditional mortgage and then refi down the road? You have time on your side, most likely, to get some projects done and spruce up your house. This is actually a really big deal. Buyers continually look at homes that are clean, are fresh, are no maintenance when they move in. They aren't wanting to come in and do projects. They continue to ask how hard it is to get contractors in. And honestly, they continue to compare them to new construction. The more you can make your home look competitive to new construction, the easier it's going to be to sell your home. No, you don't have to make it all new. It just needs to be competitive. So take the time to do that. If you aren't going to remodel your kitchen, you don't want to, maybe you know that someone else is going to have different tastes than you, then take a look under the hood. Look at the mechanicals. How new is your AC unit? How new is your furnace? How new is your roof? And is it in good condition if it's not new? Those things matter to buyers as well because those are big ticket items. Make your house stand out. Make it look better than your neighbors down the street. Make it look better than the house one neighborhood over. Buyers typically are not focused on just one street or just one community. They want the best deal and a beautiful, no problem home. Do you have the opportunity for top dollar and multiple offers in this market? It just takes a strong plan. Aim to have an agent that has numerous methods in their selling process that will achieve a higher price for your home in comparison to the others on the market. An agent that has a plan to minimize the negative effects of time on the market. How about one that knows how to motivate buyers to make an offer on your home and stop looking and taking their time to poke around at all the other houses that they think they have all the time in the world to see? Find an agent that knows how to draw out what the highest offer a buyer will pay on your home is. And you absolutely want someone who is going to sell your home. I don't mean put a sign in the yard and put it on the MLS, who has the art of selling and is going to increase the perceived value of your home in the marketplace. Get someone who has strategies to put more money in your pocket. That's the key. Buyers, when rates start dropping, competition will increase. Sellers, when rates start dropping, competition will increase. Sellers, if your home is fresh on the market, be ready for that. But if your home is stale on the market, has been sitting for a while, be ready to refresh it. Be strategic. You want to capture every fresh surge of buyers that are coming into the market if it is a bouncy market and rates are blipping around. Buyers, don't be afraid to make offers that are reasonable and work for you. If a home's been sitting on the market, don't look at it and go, well, they clearly aren't going to take my offer. You never know. They might take an offer that is well below the list price. They just can't bring themselves to cut the price and put it out on writing. So just try. The worst they can say is no. Be prepared for a great year. 2019, as I said, only about 3% home price appreciation, and no one complained it was a tough year in real estate. So much opportunity ahead of us. If you want to talk about the market or your plans for moving in or out of Denver, you know I would love to chat with you. Hey, I will see y'all next week.